Hey, it's Leighton here for our 5th episode. On today's episode we're playing some rugby, so a bit different adventure this time around. We're catching up with professional footy player Grant Faatoia to go through some of his training regimes, and I think they're doing some tackling and that sort of thing, so it should be good fun to watch. Yeah, and here he is getting his gear ready, so let's come say hi.
Hey!
So Grant, tell us, what are we up to today on our adventure?
So today our adventure consists of 120 kilo bodies colliding, also a bit of fitness, which means some running, which is not my strongest fit, but it all helps. It's all the ingredients you need to become a good footballer, mentally and physically. So as you can see, there's a few little ants there that I'm about to run over today, so I'm looking forward to that challenge. But yeah, it's going to be good. Team chemistry. Yeah, it's good.
You're not going to make me go out there on the field, are you?
Oh, if you want, by all means, I'll just stick you on the wing.
Awesome. So Grant, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Grant Faatoia, 30, live in Port Macquarie, manage a laundry business and help out around church, and also play a bit of footy, keep me fit.
Cool. So tell us, Grant, what's your connection to youth mentoring, or at the outdoors or whatever?
Youth mentoring, I got involved with it about 6 years ago. I spent most of my time with a lot of foster kids. A couple of our church members had a few foster kids that needed a bit of male mentorship, and I just took it upon myself to see them as little brothers, and that's how I got started with the youth mentorship. And particularly these young boys, they particularly like to, show how tough they are, show a bit of attitude, and so we got involved with a lot of our outdoors, particularly with rugby league, or just any sports in general outside, just to see how well we can work well as a team with our heart rates beating at 200 miles an hour. So that's how I first got involved, and I'm still passionate to making sure I'm there for these young people, just to mentor them, just to give them some good life choices, whether it is following whatever beings out there, or just making their lifestyle a little bit better for the future generation. So, yeah.
Okay, Grant, tell us, what's your biggest passion in life?
I guess trying to make today better than yesterday. So if that means helping someone out that I haven't helped before, then that's something I want to achieve daily, and the biggest passion is just to help.
So Grant, tell us, what's your biggest, most craziest, #1 epic adventure you've been on?
Biggest adventure for me would have been when I got asked to pay for the Sydney Roosters reserve grade side, and I was matching up against some Penrith Panthers, NRL stars, and that was the biggest hype. I think before taking the field, my heart rate was just over the moon, and I was just ecstatic about just having that opportunity to go against these people, and I've worked hard to make that happen. But in that comparison to me getting married, I guess marriage life itself is a whole new adventure. But it's awesome to see that time flies when you're having a good time. So yeah, 2 of my biggest adventures I've had, and it's been the highlight of my life. So yeah, it's good.
Cool. So just elaborate a bit there, Grant, on that, on the reserve team there. What made that so challenging for you?
Well, rugby wasn't my first passion. It was basketball, but in saying that, just how things worked, I had to get up, work 4 a.m. in the morning, go to work till 3 o'clock, and then have training from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. And I did that for 2 years, for 5 days a week. But I was really passionate about just connecting, also growing as a person, physically and mentally, and just to push past barriers that you thought was impossible. And for me to be given that opportunity to compete at a higher level just showed how well and how hard I worked. I had to make a lot of sacrifices, but I stayed true to what I believed in, and it took me a long way. I just had to put the hard yards and get it done.
Awesome. So what's one thing you learned, Grant, from your putting in your hard yards there to achieve that?
One thing I did learn is hard work does pay off, and I think that's with anything in life. You know, when you get up to that business end, especially with the NRL lurking just around the corner, you then get tested, your foundation, and a lot of pressure and challenges I was facing was having to make a commitment to not play on Saturday, and that was one of the requirements I had to do as part of my contract, and that's where I wrestled a lot with it and with God. Why did you give me all this hard work? Why did you give me this talent, and therefore I can't display it on the field? It was one of the challenges I had faced, and I stuck to my game and what I believed in, and I'm still enjoying my sport, as you can see, and I've turned it into a ministry more than trying a career in life. So
that's to do with your faith that you couldn't play on the Saturday?
So a lot of the games were meant to be played on Saturday, and I took a stand and not to play on it.
And that was your day for?
Yeah, that was my day for rest. So basically, in part of my religion, Saturday is a day that we believe is made holy, and therefore you rest and acknowledge the good values you have in life. And so I chose not to play, and as a coach, you have to decide. Yes, you respect the factor of your religious belief, but then it's also a business. And after that 2-year contract, I saw myself at the door from that career, but I'm glad I made that decision and I made that stand.
Cool. So Grant, what's your mountaintop experience that you've had in your personal journey in your sport?
I guess just to get to being just under the NRL, which is National Rugby League, was the greatest achievement I could ever have in my sporting career. I didn't think I would get that far. I had a lot of doubts, and I wrestled with a lot of things in life that would hinder me from getting there. But to achieve that goal, I found it was just rewarding. Not only from a monetary perspective, but also like from your own personal gain. Just to get to that top. Obviously, I wanted to reach the NRL, but it is what it is. But I'm happy with the progress I made, and to achieve that mountaintop for me was I was just kicking goals basically. So it's good.
Physically and
metaphorically. Metaphorically. So it was good. It was a tough mountain, very tough mountain. Let me say, obviously, in that aspect, you're competing against 60 other guys that you only have to try and fit 17 people in a squad. So, and they've got the same passion, they've got the same drive. It's just at the end of the day, who wants it more and who deserves it more. And as I said, I was blessed to have that, and that was a good climb for me. Real struggled, but I climbed it and achieved what I wanted to achieve. So it's
cool, awesome. So Grant, looks like your team down there is ready to do some training. So
those boys
waiting for you.
They're looking hungry. I'm hungry physically, but I'll eat after training. We'll get stuck into it, and we'll see who's hurting at the end of the training session.
We'll see if you're bleeding for the rest of the questions.
Let's see. Let's see how we go.
Cool. All right, let's do it. How did you go out there?
That was good. That was good. Good to blow up the cobwebs and get stuck into it with the boys. It was real good. Yeah.
So Grant, what's your number one skill or talent that you have when it comes to working with kids?
Number one skill, I'm not too sure, but I think just trying to earn their respect. Because I guess if you earn their respect, you earn their trust, and by doing that, you have to go to where they're at. And sometimes that could be very challenging because you don't know what to expect. But once you do that sort of thing, you start to gain their respect and you gain their trust and obviously their friendship in the long term. And hopefully things will go from there. But definitely respect. If I can gain their respect, I can reach into their lives and try and help them through their journey. So yeah.
So do you find that being a footy player, like professional football player, helps gain that respect?
I think it does. As you guys would have seen today, we all train together, we all sweat together, we all lose together, we all win together, and some of those aspects in life you can gain people's respect. You celebrate the wins. You're there to consult the losses, but then we all journey through it, and sometimes it's very tough. But overall, I think just working alongside them will hopefully benefit myself personally, and also the young people I like to do it. So, yeah.
Cool. So Grant, tell us what your most challenging moment is in youth work, or one situation or the story of a hard moment you had.
Dealing with young boys, there was two guys in particular, I won't name them. We were walking dogs as part of chores, living in the house, and words start brewing about family against family, and I guess from there it escalated to a little scuffle. And so I don't know, the technique I sort of used wasn't a technique. It's I saw there was a lot of pride on the line. Both boys knew each other very well, and they knew how to hit each other with certain arguments. And I guess I just let them have it. They just flogged each other. Ideally, I should have stepped in. Then on some aspects, I just thought, I think this is one way they could have. They just wanted to let off a bit of steam. I did intervene when I saw was it a disadvantage for one individual or for whoever it was. And about a couple of days later, they turned up and they respected each other lots more. Now they're not family, they're not brothers, but they're now brothers. They've got each other's back, which was fantastic to see. But yeah, at the time I didn't think it was a good way of dealing with it, but it worked out in the end. So yeah.
So that was a moment there, Grant, where you didn't quite respond to the situation how you wanted to or should have, but what did you learn from that situation, or how to deal with it later?
I mean, a lot of things I learned. One was just trying to analyse the situation before it escalated. I read it wrongly, in my opinion, and how I should have dealt with it. And two, just not intervening at the right time. I guess now looking on, as I said earlier, they've become real tight. But yeah, as I said, the lessons I learned is try and read the situation before it escalates, and try and intervene at the time before it gets to a place where you start throwing punches at each other's faces. So it's not ideal, and trust me, I didn't want to see it, but I don't know. That was one challenge I learned, and if it does happen again, at least I've learned my lesson once, I hope, and I'll deal with it a different way. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what's a positive experience you've had, or some highlight or memorable, fulfilling moment that you've had in youth work?
I guess, working with the young boys, particularly, having them devote their life to serving has been rewarding for me. A lot of these young guys have come from real serious, dark backgrounds, and they see that there's no hope for them and no one cares, and to work alongside them and just being there for them when needed, it was good to see. A rewarding experience was to see them turn their life around and say, Grant, I want to serve other people, because they saw that it was rewarding for me and they wanted to give back what was given to them. And yeah, I guess that was the biggest achievement for me in my working with young people. It's just seeing them serve others, which is yeah, fantastic to see. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, Grant, last question. What's some parting advice for myself starting this mentoring business, or anyone watching that wants to sort of impact people's lives?
Oh, well, thanks again for the opportunity, Lados. I wish you all the best, and it's fantastic what you're doing. I guess advice is, just don't lose that passion, don't lose that focus. And life will throw a big grenade and will distract you. But if you have a vision to reach young people's life, maintain it and have courage. Also have a good team to support you, because that's very important, to have someone to hold you accountable, and just make sure you make yourself available. That's the biggest challenges we face trying to help young people, is just making ourselves available. So that would be part of my advice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grant.
No worries. Cheers.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
I'll let you get back to have your beers, your non-alcoholic beers, your orange juice or... Cool. See ya.